Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Welcome to another edition of Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Now, you are in for a treat because this is a piece that folks ask about all the time. We're going to roll it again for you. It's from our archives. To kick it off, we've got a really cool looking piece right here. It's a workbench, or is it a toolbox? I'm not quite sure here, Lou. What'd you bring here from Dragonfire Tools?
Well, this is our 20-drawer Midnight Pro Series workbench.
All right.
And this workbench also is a toolbox.
How'd you get the idea?
You know, in my own garage for years, I had a wooden workbench and I had a stand-up toolbox.
We all do.
And I'd be standing there at the workbench working on something, walk over to the toolbox, grab a 13mm, walk back, walk over, grab a Phillips, walk back. And finally I got to a point where I was like, you know, I'm wasting a lot of time here. You know, I really wish I had my tools right here where I was working at. And when I looked for something like that, I couldn't find it. It didn't exist. So I said, well, I'm gonna make it.
So how tough is it and how is this made?
This entire workbench weighs in at over 1,200 pounds.
Holy moly.
So the whole thing is welded steel. It's not separate pieces, it's all one piece put together. For instance, this top is one contiguous piece of 304 14-gauge stainless steel with the ends corner welded, and the drawer bodies are 16-gauge galvanized steel. The drawer pulls are 14-gauge stainless steel, just like the top. And the entire thing has a 14-gauge tubular steel frame on it.
Overbuilt, built to last. And what if I want to bolt some stuff to it?
Underneath the stainless steel, there's wood. So if you want to bolt a vise to it, no problem. We tell you that if you're going to bolt a rather large vise to it, like a big old Wilton or Capri vise, put a backing plate up against that wood. That way you get equal distribution of force on your vise. And we started thinking of ways that we could improve the workbench, and one of the things was adding outlets and USB ports to the backsplash. Now you can charge all of your rechargeable power tools right on the workbench surface. Every single one of our workbenches has 6 outlets and 4 USB ports on it.
Cool, that's the workbench portion of the program. Let's talk about the drawers themselves here, the toolbox portion of this. These drawers are so beefy. How heavy are they? Is it easy to move them in and out?
Yeah, so as you can see with one finger here, you can move this drawer out, and we've got it loaded full of wrenches. The drawer itself is 16-gauge galvanized steel, as we said. What's interesting though is that we also have these top hat gussets which run the entire width of the drawer. And those top hat gussets provide rigidity for the drawer, especially when you're loading it down with heavy tools.
And how much weight do these hold?
This drawer here, it has the thicker rails on it. It will hold 150 pounds.
Wow.
And these bottom drawers here, these are all double railed and they're rated at 300 pounds.
My goodness, this will stand up to just about anything.
Yeah, can even stand in the drawer.
Nice. How much weight do those hold on the bottom?
300 pounds.
I could barely stand in it. No, I can make that. I mean, talk about the center drawers here then. I love the organization here. And I noticed as I opened one of these up here, you had this blow molded case in there. Those don't fit in my toolbox at home.
Right, so, you know, a lot of the blow molded cases customers keep for specialty tools,
Yep.
right? So we wanted to make sure that we had space in the workbench for them, no matter what drawer you wanted to be able to put them in.
Great idea there. And a problem I have a lot of times, my sockets and taller tools just get knocked right over when they don't even fit in the drawers, but you've solved that problem as well.
Yeah, we have a deeper drawer down here that's roughly about 5 inches deep.
Wow.
And as you can see, we have an entirely full set of 1/4, 3/8, 1/2 inch, and 3/4 in this drawer. So with this drawer being double railed, galvanized steel, gusseted drawer bottom, you know, this drawer is going to be able to hold the weight of all of your tools and sockets.
Now, other folks are making benches like this with the drawers in them. What makes yours different from the other ones out there?
Well, there's really only 2 companies out there that make a workbench kind of like this. Everybody else just makes toolboxes, and that's what makes us different is, you know, this piece is an actual workbench. It has a backsplash. You can bolt a vise to it. You can bolt a bench grinder to it. A lot of the other companies out there, they just make toolboxes. But this is something that's going to be in your shop for a long time. It's going to last. You can set it and forget it, or you can put it on casters, the heavy-duty caster set. It's a 6-piece caster set, and each caster holds 650 pounds. And we have several different models. We make 3 workbenches in this size, which is 9'4" and 1/4, and we make 3 workbenches in the 7-foot model too.
Whether you're a professional or just a hobbyist, you can save yourself a lot of time, a lot of space, and a lot of money. Check them out at dragonfiretools.com. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by dragonfiretools.com. We'll see you in a minute.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. And by Campbell's Custom Care, your detail specialist.
You are rolling with Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. This is one folks ask me about all the time. It's from our archives, and you're going to love it. Now, this is the series where we take all kinds of great aftermarket gear and show it off, ways that you can make your car even better than it used to be. Now, there's no way you can make this Ford F-100 look any better, but you can make it perform better and feel like a modern vehicle. And that's where Man Fabrications comes in. Brent, how did you get started in this business?
Oh, it's a hobby gone berserk, really. I've always been a hot rodder, learned to drive on a Model A pickup. And I just found that I wanted something that was more modern, more capable on the road. Safer is, one part of it, but just more reliable, handle better and all that, be able to stay up with modern traffic. So that's what we went into.
And how did you get started? What vehicles did you work on first?
I had a career as an engineer, and I went and started this business in the backyard working on customers' cars one at a time. And then I found that I had some ideas on Mustang suspension in particular that I thought we could improve it. And I started putting those ideas into play on customers' cars, and that developed into a manufactured product we could then sell to another guy.
Do you think that the chassis and suspension sometimes get overlooked when upfitting a car?
Yeah, I personally cringe when I see a car with a big motor and fat tires and a stock 1964 suspension. I'm going, there's room for improvement.
What are some of the things that you really like to focus on when you're building a chassis?
Well, it has to fit right, number one, and it has to be very solid, because no suspension is going to work right if the chassis is twisting. That went back to the Model Ts. The chassis was part of the suspension, but on these you don't want that. An independent can't do its job if the frame is flexing, so strength is a big, big issue. And durability and fit are really big, and then putting a suspension in it that gives you the right stance, the right track width. There's different suspensions that are used that have problems with ride height or with track width that cause different problems, and we have solutions for those. The Crown Vic front end on these Ford trucks in particular is an example. Stock front end is 7 inches narrower than a Crown Vic, so you can imagine the tire clearance problems that creates. Well, our Mustang-based suspension for that takes care of it. We have a new design we're coming out with that is actually turning the twin I-beam into a true independent.
I talk to a lot of engineers, and they have a philosophy when they approach engineering. What's yours?
Well, mine is function over everything else. I believe that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and if I can do the job in the simplest way, I think it's more durable, it's stronger, and it also affects the price.
Well, thanks for being here, Brent. I see you brought one of your employees, or I should say former employees. Now, Tim, you've been with the company for 16 years, and you've carried on that same philosophy. How have you embodied that in this new piece that you brought?
Well, this is one of our newest bolt-in kits that we've been developing. We've kind of taken that same philosophy, that form over function. We're using as many OE-style parts as we possibly can to make things simpler for the customer down the road. But like I say, this is taking a old-style car, modernizing it while allowing it to now take some of the more modern drivetrains that some of these customers want in these older vehicles. The suspension will make this car drive and ride a lot better. It will take the later Coyote engines that are becoming so popular now, along with still some of the earlier engines that a lot of guys are still using. It makes these a better driving, riding car, something that a customer can, if they choose to, use on a relatively regular basis.
And this is for a Mustang?
Yeah, this is for 65 through 70 Mustangs and Cougars right now. We've looked into expanding the line to the later vehicles and stuff, but that's part of the engineering process to see the feasibility of doing it in some of the other vehicles. Like anything else, the way the factory engineers any vehicle, they're all different. So you have to work within those parameters you're given from the factory to adapt, if you will, what's going to work for that particular vehicle. It's not all kind of cookie cutter, one size fits all. It's got to fit that car and work with the geometry and the suspension setups or the structure that the factory's provided you.
Now, the GM folks are putting LS motors in, and now with Ford, it's the Coyote. So what have you done to accommodate such a large engine in this?
Well, and that's exactly the thing. An LS or even the later Hemis are a much more compact engine design. So they're afforded a lot more room in a vehicle. The Coyotes, by nature of the dual overhead cam design, you've got those large cylinder heads. they tend to get in the way of a lot of things. So with a vehicle like this, where Ford designed these with the shock towers, you're not fitting those in with those shock towers. Now the problem was with these cars, the way the structure was designed, these were one of the early unibody cars. Well, the suspension forces of those vehicles and the weight of that front end was designed to go into those shock towers through the bracing and ultimately into the firewall. Well, when you start cutting those shock towers out, you've lost half your structure. So the idea with doing this is with this internal plate here, that gussets that rail, if you will, even though it's really not a frame rail, strengthens up that. We've added the side bracing here now to kind of tie in there, but this kit also will include a set of plates to replace the shock towers, and we've incorporated in a similar system from the factory where you had your bracing that will ultimately go into the firewall. So you're maintaining that factory design of what Ford intended with that unibody structure. You're not weakening it, you're just giving it more room now for that Coyote.
Well, you guys have thought of everything. I think that's pretty remarkable. You can check out Man Fabrications at fatmanfab.com. Find out what they can do for your classic hot rod. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. We'll see you in a minute.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, coming to you from the Campbells Custom Care Studio.
You know, we've got a lot of great stuff here in the archives at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, and here's a piece you're going to love. Whether you got a 67 Camaro like that, maybe a 1934 Chevrolet, or maybe it's just your daily driver, you want two things. You want it to look great, and you want it to stay that way. You want to protect it. So Donnie, how can you help me at Campbell's Custom Care? How can you help me maintain my car's good looks?
Yes, Dave, here at Campbell's Custom Care, we created the Don. The Don is a go-to product which cleans, seals, and protects your vehicle. It's easy to use. You can use it in the sunlight, you can use it at your car shows, you can use it in your garage, even in your households.
What makes the Don different from some of the other car care products that are out there?
The Don is a water-based product, so you're not going to get that high silicone finish on your vehicles. What we're going for is perfection. We want your cars to look good and stand out. So when you drive to that car show or your local supermarket and people look at your car, they say, wow, what do you use on that car?
There's a lot of folks that say you get something with silicone, that's what you want, but you're telling me it's not in there. How come?
No, the silicone actually is a magnet for dirt, and a lot of people don't realize that. With the water base, what it does, it repels that dust, that grime. So when you do the maintenance wipe downs, when you do the maintenance washes on it, and you have that water-based SiO2 in there, it really helps keep your car maintenance easy.
We were talking earlier, and this just isn't about you. You were talking to other car owners, and you have been your whole life at car shows.
Yes.
So how do you want to help those folks?
So being a detailer by trade now, I really want to help other detailers. I want to make their car detailing easy. I want to give the everyday user an easy opportunity to use something good on their car. I want to make everything user-friendly for people and give them that exact look they're going for.
Let's take a look at just how user-friendly this is.
Absolutely. So what I like to do is I shake the bottle just to get everything mixed up in there, to mist, and then what I do is I'll take a damp microfiber, and all you do is you buff it in, back and forth. Set your rag down and take a dry microfiber and just buff back and forth. And what this is going to do, it's going to give you that high shine, that high clarity, and that slick surface that you want.
Yeah, the shine doesn't always show up on television, but show us how the surfaces compare there, how slick it is, where you just did that and to a surface you haven't touched.
I'm going to toss this rag over to you.
All right.
You ready? All right, so what you're doing is you're going to get a high finish now.
Yep.
And I can show you too, hand to hand here, where you're not going to get that push.
Yeah.
It's really a real hard surface, and on here, you got just a slick grade.
Of course, on the Mustang, that's in ideal conditions. Everything's dry. What if it's wet? What if it's not perfect outside?
Yes, Dave, the Don you can apply in any type of element, temperature, rain, shine, anything. So as soon as you get to the car show and you want to apply it and you hit a little bit of sprinkle or something, you can apply it to that surface and wipe it right off.
And speaking of car shows, this is a beautiful 1934 Chevrolet. What about a vehicle like this? You've got your whole life poured into this thing, and you want me to put a chemical or some product on it. How can I be sure it's safe?
Yes, the Don is very safe, and as if you watch by example, you just spray it right on that panel there, that front fender, and you just buff it on. And we got this dry surface here, and it's going to give you that high shine, pull off all that dust, and just make that car look show ready at all times.
That is fantastic. What kind of surfaces besides the paint can I use the Dawn on?
You can use this on anything. You can use it on glass, chrome, your interior, your dashboard. It's safe on all surfaces.
Well, all surfaces, that means it's perfect for motorcycles. Maybe you have an RV. You can use it on your appliances in your home. You can check out the Dawn and their entire line at campbellscustomcare.com. And you can check out more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by Amsoil, the first in synthetics. And by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever.
Thanks for sticking with us here at Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com. Here's one from the archives we know you're going to love. Now, you may think you're a neat freak when it comes to your vehicle. Maybe you take it to the car wash every single week. Maybe you clean the interior and vacuum it. But I bet the inside of your windshield looks terrible like mine does. You probably haven't touched it in months. Tell me, Aaron, why do people avoid the inside of the windshield so much?
Well, let me ask you, Dave, how often do you do the inside of your windshield?
As I said, just about never.
Just about never, and it's because it's hard to do, right?
Yep.
It's hard to reach in there. It's hard to get past your dashboard. It's hard to get past the steering wheel. We've solved your problem here. So you have an inside paddle and you have an outside paddle held together by a strong magnetic force. Put a towel on each side, spray it with cleaner, and go to town.
You can do the inside and the outside at the same time here.
That's correct.
Now there's the basic kit there, the gift set. You also have stuff for pros, and I know you yourself are a pro, and those kits are available on the website as well. But let's see how it actually works here.
You're going to spray your outside towel and set your paddle down. Do the same thing with your inside paddle. Give a nice generous spray. Connect the two paddles and start washing. And as you can see, I'm washing the inside and the outside at the same time, very effectively, easily.
That's fantastic. And what about a vehicle like this? If you're wondering if you got a Jeep, maybe a semi-truck, locomotive, jet aircraft, something you can't reach the inside or the outside of, well, this is a simple job too. Let me show you. All you have to do is you get both pads wet. This can rest there while you're getting the inside towel ready to go. Now, I know, Aaron, you are a professional detailer, as I mentioned.
Correct, yep.
How much time and effort does this save you every day in your job?
This is saving me at least half the time. And as a detailer, that means more money in my pocket. I'm getting it done faster, and I'm not breaking my back reaching over the steering wheel. As you can tell, you're doing everything very easily from the outside.
Well, if you're a pro, or if you just want to keep your windshield clean at home, this is the way to go, let me tell you. It's called the Windshield WOW. You can find it at windshieldwow.com.
Well, folks, the days of carburation are long gone. It's all about fuel injection. And you know, a fuel injection system is only as good as the fuel injector itself. This is the Amsoil Tech Tip, and today it's all about fuel injectors. What are they? Why do we have them? And how do they work? This is pretty cool. I actually have one right here, and I have a computer that's going to simulate one. So I can hook it up here, and you can actually hear it. What's going on? Well, there's a little pintle inside of there. Every time that computer decides to open and close, that pintle's opening and closing, and the fuel has to flow through it. I have one right here. I actually cut one away, which is really cool. And what's going inside of here, you can actually see it. This is a magnetic pull-up here, and then here's the little pintle. The fuel has to flow through that pintle at high pressure to get down in that cylinder, depending on what fuel system you have. So it's important that we keep these things clean and keep them working properly. Where is it located? Well, you can take a look at the graphic right here. It's actually a multi-port system. It's shooting it right on top of the valve. But we took it one step further. I got Len with us. Len from Amsoil. Len, what do you think about those injector patterns?
Well, I think just real quickly, the one on the left is what we're looking for. And then it's progression all the way to the one on the right, which is not what you're looking for.
Absolutely not. I mean, that's not going to atomize. It's not going to do the job. It's going to have poor fuel economy and all kinds of performance problems. How can you fix that?
Amsoil Performance Improver is what I would actually use in that situation. It's got some extremely potent detergents in it. You're going to retain horsepower. You're going to keep the performance where you want it to be, real simply by just adding one bottle every 4,000 miles.
Well, you can't beat that. Your car's feeling a little sluggish. Maybe your injectors are clogged up. Maybe the fuel system needs a little tune-up. You want to find out about this product and more? Just go to amsoil.com.
And now, our Aspire Auto Accessories Motorhead of the Week. I want to introduce you to retired Brigadier General Max Stitzer. Now here's some great photos of his 1960 Corvette, along with some other vehicles from Max's day job there. Max has loved cars since he was a kid, back when his dad used to take him to the drag races at Pomona. And he still gets to every NHRA event that he can, but he's not just a fan. He bracket races a friend's car whenever he's back home in Utah, and just recently, Max spearheaded a new Air Force and NHRA partnership for recruiting. So, when you see an Air Force branded car and driver in the next few years, you'll know who got that ball rolling. I mentioned that Max is freshly retired, and he's going from working with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he's already signed on as an advisor and consultant with several professional NHRA teams. Between that, playing guitar in a band and driving dragsters, Max's schedule is going to get as busy as ever. General Stitzer, congratulations on your retirement and on being the Aspire Auto Accessories Motorhead of the Week. We salute you and we thank you for your service. Now, if you want to be Motorhead of the Week, hop on over to motorheadgarage.tv and tell us your story, why someone or someone you know should be Motorhead of the Week. And our website is also the place you need to go if you have a product you want to see featured on our show. We'll get you here in our Campbell's Custom Care Studio. From our entire crew here at Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, we'll see you next time. In the meantime, drive safely.